Okay, so we're going to be doing this exercise, okay, this factorial. Again, how this works, as you can see, these two text fields do not have anything available. They're all editable, made false. All I need to do is to click next, and when I click next, it starts of course at 1, and then it shows 1, but then if I click next, it becomes 2, and then shows the factorial of 2. If you click next again, 3, and factorial 3, and so on. So let's do that. And now I just had an idea, just to make it even nicer. I can just, instead of this n here, you see, if it's 1, I'm going to make it display factorial of 1 equal 1. I'm just going to improve this a little bit. So let's do that. First of all, I'm just going to copy this. Why? Because, well, it will just do something similar to what I'm doing, and then I will just paste it here as factorial. And I'm just going to remove whatever I don't need, because there's only there are only 2 labels and 2 text fields and 1 button. The rest I'm going to remove them. It's going to be called factorial, and the same things for now until I don't need this one, so this is going to be n, and this is factorial of n. I'm going to change that anyways, as I mentioned. Maybe I'm going to make it equal, so it will just show factor of n is equal to something. Now for this, I'm going to put them both to be editable to false, and then I have only 1 button, the rest I don't need, and the button is going to be having the action. Well, I can have the action to be as here as an action listener, or just because I would like to do something different, I'm going to make this here. I'm going to make it, what is it called, this thing? Anonymous class, exactly. So I'm going to make it as an anonymous class. Of course, the button is not going to be called add, it's going to be called next, and it should show next. And then the rest is not number 1, number 2. I'm just going to call it label with n, and label is, let me finish and then I'll factorial. Okay, what did you say?
Number 2 twice.
Oh, very good. So I'm going to make this number 1, then I'm going to rename this. It's not going to be number 1, it's just going to be n. So this is n, this is factorial of n. Factorial. And that's next, then the action listener, then we need to put the action here. I'm going to put it later. And then we have the button, we have the label of the next, and the text field. Label, text field, then factorial, then the label and the text field, then the bottom next. And they are going to be maybe all in one. Let me just maybe make it 75 or 200. Maybe it's too much. Well, I'll see if it's enough or not. Maybe it's not too much. I mean, I might need to increase it, but I'll see later on if it's fine by just clicking here. Cancel. I cannot. There's something. There's a mistake because I don't have this TF result. Basically, I'm just going to delete this action performed, and I'm going to delete this one here because I don't want it there, because I have now an anonymous class where I'm going to put the code in. Now into this code here, I'm just to see it first, I'm just going to run new week 3. I called it factorial, so just do factorial. It's going to run the application, the window, and maybe I need to double it with the size. Or you know what, maybe I can just leave that, but instead of 5, put 5, and this will leave it 10. This will just reduce the size a bit, not enough. 350 might be enough now. That's fine. So now I have this to be, now actually I don't want to see this. The first time I should see 1 here, and I should see 1 here, right? And that's what I'm going to do. So this, after setting the text field, tf set text is going to be 1. And I'm going to do the same with this factorial. So tf factorial. So now if I run it, it is going to be 1, 1. Yes?
You can, instead of set that, do it in the same line inside the constructor.
I'm sorry?
You can do it in the same line inside the parentheses in the constructor. Inside the text field.
You talking here about this in the constructor here?
Yes.
Because there's a constructor that takes the text and the number of columns. Yes. So yeah, that's a good point. So I'm just going to do, for example, like this. The text comes first and then the size later. And the same thing with this one. So I don't need to have this. Yeah. Yeah, that's better. And I don't want to show this factorial n, I just would like to show factorial of 1. And later on it's going to change to factorial of something. So now its factorial of 1 is going to be like that. So, or maybe 1 factorial equal. So it will show something like this. 1 factorial is equal to 1. Now if I press the next, what should happen is that two things should happen. The first one is that the number should be incremented. This here should be incremented. So if I run this thing, after pressing next, the first thing that should happen is this one should become 2. So let's do that. How this can become 2? I need to get the number that was there before, increment it, and then put it back. So I'm going just to have this n is equal to the tf n dot get text. But this is again a text that I need to convert to an int. So integer dot parse int. This is going to convert this string to an int. That int I'm saving it inside of n. Now that n I'm going to put it back into set text to be, well, the n, but then before the n I need to increment it first. So first of all, let's increment it, then set the text to be, what should I do? Convert, this is an int, cannot put set text in an int. String dot value of n. So let's just try that. If I click, it becomes 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So it's moving up, it says incrementing. Now I'd like to also change this. If it's 20, it should show 20 here. So what I'm going to do is, after I do this, which one should I change? Is the label n dot set text to be n plus, because this I need to use the plus, so I'm going to do something like this. So now it says 1. Oh, it's not this one. I'm changing this one. Well, I should have changed this one. So it's not label n, it's label factorial. If I run, this one should change, but this is the one that should change. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that okay? I'm just going to put a space here so it would be consistent. Now what I'm doing is just changing this. This is just something fancy that I just would like to show you. So if just to show you different things that we can do. We can also play with the label. I can change the label. That's what I'm doing now. Now this. Now the thing that is left is this here. Should be calculating the factorial of whatever the number is. Now what I'm going to do, I can just put the code here, but it's better to use, I'm going to create a private method that is going to return an int, the result of the factorial. It's not needed that I can put whatever I want inside here, but it's better if I do the calculation outside. So if I have a number here given to me as an argument, how do I calculate the factorial of that number? This is going to be the result. So the result is going to be what? Well, different ways how to do it. What do you like to do? For example, if the number is 5, I can multiply 1 by 2, by 3, by 4 until I reach 5. Or I can multiply 5 by 4, by 3, by 2, and multiply by 1 until I reach 1. So what do you would like to do? From 5 to 1 or from 1 to 5? 5 to 1, 1 to 5? Let's do it from 1 to 5. So, okay, if I need a loop from 1 to 5, I need to start I to be 1, and it stops when I said 5 because I said that n is 5, but I need to put equal because the 5 I would like to reach it. Okay, what should I do then? Now this is 1, so I need to have something like this result equals 0, and then the result is going to be the result multiplied by I, because I is going to become 1, 2, 3, 4 until 5. Yes? You're right, it's okay, but I cannot start with 0, because if I multiply anything with 0, the result is going to be 0. So the equivalent, the 0 works with the addition, but with the multiplication, I need to use 1. Which means now I'm using 1. The first time is 1 multiplied by 1, and then 1 multiplied by 2. Well, can I start with 2? Let's not start with 1. I can just start with 2 immediately. Because the first time is result is 1 multiplied by 2, and then this becomes 2. So the result is 2. And then 2 is going to become 3 because it's going to be incremented. So 3 less than 5, yes. 2 multiplied by 3, that's 5. Now that's 6. The result now is 6, and then so on. So it's going to move on. And I'm going to return the result. Once I get the result, I need to put it into the text field factorial. Set text. Which is going to be, well, I don't have results. This is going to be the result of this factorial n. So I'm going to call the method factorial with n, because I know that the n that I want. However, factorial n is a number that I need to convert to an int, to a string. So this thing, either I do this plus this empty text again, just to hack it, or string dot value of. Now what I'm doing, I'm getting the number, put it inside n, increment it, put it back into the n, and display the label of factorial with that number, and then this is going to change the text field of factorial with the value, the textual value of the result of this method, factorial n, which is going to just calculate the factorial and return it, and whatever is going to return, I'm going to put it inside this tf factorial. Yes.
The factorial is private, right?
It is private.
Why you just like get factorial?
It is private. I can call it. I don't need a getter for a method. For a method. Getters and setters I use for instance variables. This is a method. As long as it's inside the class, I can call it, even if it's private. By mentioning private, that means outside I cannot use it. Someone who just, for example, comes outside here, can he call the method factorial? No, he can't. Now if I'm running this, this is going to show a nice factorial calculator. Notice one thing, the int is going to become not enough for this to happen, to work. So you see now it becomes minus. So if I want to make it bigger, I don't know, I can make this to be long, and I had to change a lot of things, but that's not the point of this exercise. The point of this exercise is just to play around with this swing. All right?